Is Lee Patterson, Chief Engineer and Drone Pilot at Stantec. In July 2017, we had a significant flood along the Waitati stream, just north of Dunedin, which essentially closed a lane of state highway. This is the ortho photo from the flight. As we zoom in on this, you'll hopefully start to see the clarity in the problem. This is an emergency bund to attempt to stop any further erosion or retreat of the slope. It's already entered the live traffic lane, and the green lines that you can see here are the prime fibre optic internet service for Dunedin and South New Zealand. There is one other link to the loop, as I understand it. So you can see here we have pretty significant erosion. You can't quite get the whole picture from the aerial, but that's, I guess, flown in July, which was not long after the main rainfall event. We also flew it later on after we had installed some erosion protection measures, some riprap. This is prior to the sealing of the final road surface. I guess this was flown in August 2016, you can see from the dates. So we've got some rather heavy stone, 600 to 900 size stone. It's in the process of being constructed, and we also actually ended up putting some more stone in at this end because it was within the firing line of the main stream channel as it bounced off this knuckle here, and it was actually hitting a little bit further up of where we started. But you can see, so this is the aerial image. And this is the 3D model of the failure, as it were. So you can see here that this is the web view that gets spat out, in this instance, by Skycatch. We've actually changed our supplier to Pix4D subsequently. But this can be looked at, zoomed in, and really quite closely viewed from all angles. And you can start to see that not only do we have some scour, but if these lane widths are 3.5 meters wide, we've got over 2 meters of scour immediately adjacent to the highway. So trafficking this lane was risk, and this here is kentilage blocks that were actually put in to put straps to hold the fibre optic up. It turned out that it actually wasn't super critical that we did that, but at the time we figured it was a major concern. So what we get from this is not just this slightly cartoony mesh structure. This mesh structure is an interpolated mesh that the photogrammetric people produce. We also get, if I can spin to my cloud compare, we get this view. So if I go back to the failure model, so the failure model looks like this. So this is about 2 billion points of 3D position points. The points are so close that from a distance it looks like a 3D mesh, but you'll see when I actually start to zoom in that these are individual points. So these have a true space relationship to each other. In Cloud Compare and a couple of other pieces of software, we have the ability to remove vegetation through a little bit jiggery pokery. We can also very, very quickly, without even going into CAD, we can look at just a cross-section of information. And rather than just getting the plan view, such as this, we can also get a cross-section view where we can start to be able to see exactly what the distance from the road is. You can see it, photogrammetry doesn't like asphalt. It tends to create some blobs, treats it a little bit like it's a reflective water surface. But here you can see that we can get some cross-section information for the stream. We can start to measure the exact height. This is to scale, of course. And we can start to interrogate exactly what this particular failure looks like on a local basis. But also, if we want to, we can export this information and start to get full CAD surfaces from it. But we get a full model that looks wonderfully like this, I think, which is a very, very powerful tool for us to be able to use with our clients. And it certainly highlighted exactly the extent of the work that was required, and we could look at the morphology of the stream upstream as well. On that note, when we did the flight for the second flight for the as-builts, we did get this in place. We did a slightly more extensive flight, not just looking at the problem here, but we looked at the stream morphology. Just a couple of bends upstream, where the next comes quite close to the highway, we noticed that there had been a slope failure here. It's previously been riprapped. I don't know if you can see these rather large stones sitting in a perfect line. So that's the old riprap leg. That's now been completely scoured in behind. And as we start to interrogate this, you can see that we have exactly the same problem about to happen. The riprap has essentially failed. The previous design hasn't been maintained to a sufficient level to maintain its efficacy. And we are now only 3 or 4 meters away from a very, very similar situation occurring. So this is now in the Forward Works program. I don't know if this would necessarily have been seen if we had not really looked at a much, much bigger model with a view that we could do quite easily from having some assessment from the drone. But this is a very powerful tool.